Ja, hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Sherlock Holmes mit eurem Commander Sherlock. Und immer noch das Drama von Kew Gardens. Gab da ein abruptes Ende. Als ich hier bei den Herleitungen war. Gucken wir mal, ob das nochmal passiert. Gehen wir mal auf die Hinweise. Die haben wir nicht. Wir experimentieren jetzt erstmal mit den Pflanzen rum. Ich würde ja eigentlich sagen, dass die alle gestohlen haben. Ne? Also die haben ja eigentlich alle gestohlen. Aber ich glaube nicht, dass die getötet haben. Also ich glaube, momentan mein Verdacht, Hamish ist der Mörder. Hier der Captain Lingling hat die Pflanzen geklaut. Alle. Albert will einfach dem Typen nicht die Leitungen geben.
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out exactly how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend that you put on the gas mask.
Also, ich sag, die rechte ist es. Carnivorus, Fleisch. Carne, Fleisch. Berliner Inebriare. Ja, ja.
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid.
Wir müssen ja auch mal gucken, was die anderen machen, ne?
This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. No reaction. Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary. The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the Colonial Collection Room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
Okay. Also ich glaube, die hat jemand vorher vernichtet. Wobei da hätte nicht dann Don Lingling, hätte er das nicht gesagt. So, wie die stimuliert werden konnten, das ist klar. Oben über das Zeug. Bevor wir das Experiment machen, erstmal unterhalten. Okay. Das ist doch mal ein Plan. Das ist doch mal ein Plan. Ich bin immer noch auf der gleichen Meinung. Können wir jetzt mal bald ankommen da. Mann, ey. Ist ja jetzt nicht so, dass das hier so mega schwer wäre. Hey, Amish.
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him, and we went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
10:30 Uhr. Die Uhrzeit zusammen mit dem...
Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious? Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of Lysa something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait. Ah, these Latin names. And I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes. He came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock. Then about 10 minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White, what were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room, and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh, my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon. Harm. Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in his way.
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house.
I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis. I only stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you, miss.
Gutes Gedächtnis.
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
War jetzt richtig schwer, das
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
Wieso muss ich das probieren? Ich kann einfach die These aufstellen und dann müssen wir es belegen. Ich sehe schon, wie ich gleich die ganze Zeit hier wieder durchrennen muss. Ich renne jetzt erstmal ins Labor und hole mir die Nummer an. Wo war denn das Labor? Hä? So. Nummer 320. Wo ist denn die Scheiße?
Here it is.
Ja, damit.
These plants, classified as shrubs or grasses, have adapted to their arid environment due to a system of underground roots.
This recording seems very long. It is unnecessary to listen to all of it. Miss White was in the laboratory, as she told us.
So, ich habe gedacht, wir gucken, ob da irgendein, ob da irgendwie ein Geräusch drauf ist. War aber auch schon einen leichten Hüftschaden, der Sherlock hier, ey.
First of all, I need to visit the Colonial Collection Room to see how those caterpillars dropped onto the deadly plants.
Mann, ey. Hätten die da nicht, ne? Mal auf die Scheiße.
The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. This is one of the outlets.
Wer hätte das gedacht, dass das Ding hier hingeht?
Before starting the engine, I need... The power is on. The engine has started. The ventilation system is working. We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
Okay, wo war denn der andere? Na gut, da hätte ich dem Ding mal folgen sollen. Da ich hier vorne nicht in dem Raum war, wird er wahrscheinlich da sein.
From here, we are unable to see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room. Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect. Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out. by activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room.